How often do you really look at your skin? Not just in the mirror for a quick glance, but truly examining it, as if it holds a secret. It's something many of us might do fleetingly, perhaps when we notice a new freckle or a stubborn spot. But what if your skin, our body's largest organ, is trying to tell you something far more important, whispering a warning you might unknowingly be dismissing? It's a painful reality that many subtle changes on our skin go unnoticed, or are simply brushed off as signs of aging, harmless blemishes, or even just a persistent dry patch. Yet, some of these seemingly innocent marks could be silent signals, potential indicators of something far more serious that requires our attention. Imagine for a moment that your skin holds clues, a map to your internal health, waiting for you to decipher its messages. In this video, we're going to gently explore some specific, often overlooked skin changes that could be these very silent signals, signs that your body might be giving you a crucial heads up. We'll look at what these changes might look like, and most importantly, what simple proactive steps you can take if you spot them. This isn't about fear, it's about empowerment and taking charge of your well-being. So, stick with me until the very end, because I'm going to share something that might truly surprise you about protecting your skin and staying healthy for years to come. Let's begin our journey by looking closely at something many of us take for granted: our moles. We've probably all got a few, perhaps dozens, scattered across our bodies, some since childhood, others appearing over time, and for the most part, they're perfectly harmless, just a unique part of who we are. But here's where vigilance becomes our best friend. Moles can sometimes change, and those changes can be crucial whispers from our skin. One of the most important things we can do is to become familiar with our own moles, to know their usual appearance, so that any new or changing ones stand out. Think of it like knowing your favorite armchair. You'd notice right away if a cushion was missing or if the fabric had ripped. Your moles deserve that same level of attentive observation. Now, when we talk about changes in moles that could be a silent sign, we often refer to what dermatologists call the ABCDEs. It's a simple checklist, easy to remember, and incredibly powerful for spotting potential concerns. The A stands for asymmetry. Imagine drawing a line right through the middle of your mole. If one half doesn't match the other, if it looks lopsided or uneven, that's asymmetry. A healthy, harmless mole is usually symmetrical, but if you see one side looking decidedly different from the other, it's a cue to pay closer attention. Then there's B for border. Most ordinary moles have smooth, even borders, a clear definition where the mole ends and your skin begins. But if you notice that the edges of a mole are ragged, notched, blurred, or irregular, that's a border to be concerned about. It's not a perfectly round or oval shape anymore, but something more jagged, like a coastline that's been eroded. This kind of indistinct or uneven border can be a silent indicator that something is amiss beneath the surface, a subtle hint that the cells are not behaving as they should. Next up is C for color. This can be one of the most striking changes to look for. A normal mole usually has one consistent shade of brown or tan throughout. But if you start to see multiple colors within a single mole, different shades of brown, black, tan, or even patches of red, white, or blue, that variation in color is a significant red flag. It's as if someone has used several different paints on one small canvas. This patchwork of colors is a strong signal that the mole needs professional evaluation. It's your skin silently shouting, "Look closer." Moving on, we have D for diameter. Generally, a mole that is larger than 6 millimeters, which is roughly the size of a pencil eraser, raises more concern than smaller ones. Of course, many harmless moles can be larger than this, but if you have a mole that's growing and crosses this threshold, or if it's already quite large and exhibiting other ABCDE signs, it's certainly something to keep an eye on. It's not the only factor, but it's definitely part of the overall picture you're trying to build when you examine your skin. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, there's E for evolving. This means any change in a mole's size, shape, color, or elevation? Has it started to itch, bleed, or crust over? Has it suddenly felt tender or painful? Any of these changes, even if they don't fit perfectly into the other A, B, C, D, E categories, are the most important sign of all. An evolving mole is a mole that is actively changing, and that change is a clear message from your body that it needs attention. Think of it this way: if your garden hose starts leaking, you notice it right away, don't you? Similarly, if a mole that's always been one way suddenly acts differently, that's your skin trying to get your attention. So, developing a habit of regularly checking your moles, perhaps once a month, is truly a game changer. Take a moment after a shower, using a mirror for hard-to-see areas like your back. Familiarity empowers you to spot these subtle shifts beyond moles. Let's consider another common silent sign: new, unusual growths that aren't necessarily moles, but persistent bumps or spots. These can often be dismissed as simply a zit that won't go away, or a rough patch. One common type of skin cancer, basal cell carcinoma, often presents in very subtle ways. It might appear as a pearly or waxy bump, sometimes with visible blood vessels on or around it, almost like a small, shiny pearl embedded in your skin. Or it could look like a flat, flesh-colored or brown lesion that resembles a scar. These often appear on sun-exposed areas like your face, neck, hands, and arms. The key here is its persistence. It might bleed easily, perhaps after a bump or a scratch, and then crust over and seem to heal, only to reappear later. It's not something that comes and goes like a typical blemish. It lingers, or it keeps returning in the same spot. It's a silent signal because it often doesn't cause much pain or discomfort in its early stages, so it's easy to ignore. Imagine a small, unassuming pebble on a path that you keep tripping over, but never quite get around to moving. That's what these non-healing, recurring spots can be like. They demand our attention, not because they're screaming for it, but because they subtly, persistently make their presence known. Now that we've discussed the importance of moles and persistent new growths, let's move on to another type of silent signal that can often be mistaken for something quite harmless. Next, we'll talk about those scaly patches or areas of redness that just don't seem to clear up. No matter how much moisturizer you apply or how long you wait, this can be another important whisper from your skin, often pointing towards a type of skin cancer called squamous cell carcinoma, or its precursor, actinic keratosis. Actinic keratoses are common, rough, scaly patches on sun-exposed skin, especially on the face, scalp, hands, and forearms. They can feel like sandpaper when you touch them. Many people dismiss them as simply dry skin or age spots, but these are actually considered precancers. Think of them as warning lights on your car's dashboard, indicating that something might need attention before it becomes a bigger problem. While not all actinic keratoses will turn into skin cancer, a significant number of squamous cell carcinomas do start as these rough patches. So, if you have a patch of dry, scaly skin that persists for weeks or months, especially in sun-exposed areas, and doesn't respond to usual skin care, it's definitely worth having a closer look. Now, if an actinic keratosis progresses, or if squamous cell carcinoma develops on its own, it can appear as a firm, red nodule, sometimes tender to the touch, or as a flat lesion with a scaly, crusted surface. It might even look like a wart. These can sometimes bleed easily or become quite painful, but not always. The persistent nature is key here. It's not just a passing rash or a temporary irritation. It's a spot that's digging in its heels and refusing to budge. Imagine a persistent weed in your garden. You might ignore it at first, but if it keeps growing and spreading, you know it needs to be dealt with. That's the kind of attention these scaly, stubborn patches deserve. The key takeaway is if a scaly or red patch is stubbornly present, if it grows, or if it changes in any way, it's a quiet alarm that needs to be heeded. Moving on. Another often missed silent sign is a non-healing sore or wound. This one can be particularly deceptive because we've all had cuts, scrapes, or nicks that take a while to heal. Haven't we? Maybe you bumped your arm, or scratched yourself while gardening, and you expect it to scab over and disappear. But what if it doesn't? What if it appears to heal, only to reopen again in the same spot? Sometimes even bleeding or oozing a little. This could be a very subtle, yet critical, silent cancer sign. Both basal cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma can sometimes present as an open sore that simply doesn't want to close up. It might look like a simple cut that just never quite heals, or a pimple that stubbornly refuses to disappear. It might even be mistaken for a chronic infection or a persistent ulcer. But the crucial difference is its persistence. A typical wound should heal within a few weeks. If you have a sore that lingers for more than a month, or that repeatedly scabs over and then reopens, it's your skin sending a clear message that something more significant is at play. It's like a tiny, persistent drip from a faucet that you keep wiping away. But it always returns. It might seem minor, but it's telling you there's a deeper issue that needs professional attention. Finally, let's talk about a silent sign that's perhaps the most overlooked of all because it appears in places we rarely check: dark streaks under nails or on the palms of your hands and soles of your feet. This is a rarer form of melanoma called acral lentiginous melanoma. And it's especially insidious because it often goes undetected until it's more advanced. Precisely because of its hidden location, we tend to focus on sun-exposed areas. But this type of skin cancer isn't necessarily linked to sun exposure. It can appear as a dark brown or black streak under a fingernail or toenail, often mistaken for a bruise from an injury. But unlike a bruise, which will grow out with the nail or eventually fade, this dark streak will persist and potentially widen or change over time. Similarly, dark spots or patches that appear on the soles of your feet or the palms of your hands, especially if they are irregular in shape or color, can also be a silent signal. It's easy to dismiss a new dark spot on your foot as just a stain or a bit of dirt, or a bruise under your nail as a minor accident, but if it doesn't go away, or if it changes, it warrants immediate attention. So, when you're doing your monthly self-check, remember to check your nails, both fingers and toes, and the soles of your feet and palms of your hands. These often forgotten areas can hold important, silent clues about your health. It's about becoming a detective of your own body, leaving no stone unturned in your pursuit of well-being. It's natural to feel a bit overwhelmed or even a little worried when discussing something as serious as potential cancer signs. But please know, this knowledge isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you, to turn you into the most vigilant advocate for your own health. The key message, the most important takeaway from our conversation today, is simple: pay attention to your skin. Become familiar with every mole, every freckle, every unique mark that makes your skin yours. Think of your skin as a constant, open book that's always telling you a story. And learning to read that story is one of the most powerful things you can do for yourself. Remember those silent signals we've talked about today: the changes in moles, especially if they're asymmetrical, have irregular borders, varied colors, large diameters, or are evolving in any way. Be mindful of those new, persistent growths that might be pearly bumps or scar-like patches that just won't disappear. Keep an eye out for scaly, red patches that are stubbornly present, refusing to heal or responding to typical remedies. And never, ever dismiss a non-healing sore or a wound that seems to come and go in the same spot. And finally, cast your gaze to those less obvious places, under your nails, on your palms, and the soles of your feet, looking for any new, dark streaks or spots that don't belong. The beauty of these signs is that when caught early, the vast majority of skin cancers are highly treatable. That's why your vigilance, your regular self-checks, and your willingness to act are so incredibly important. Beyond just knowing what to look for, there are proactive steps that weave seamlessly into a healthy lifestyle. One of the most important is regular professional skin checks by a dermatologist. Even if you're a diligent self-examiner, there are spots you can't easily see, and a trained eye can spot subtleties that might escape yours. Consider it an annual health appointment, just like your other checkups. And of course, sun protection remains a cornerstone of skin health. This isn't about avoiding the sun entirely. It's about being smart about your exposure. Think about incorporating good habits like seeking shade, especially during the peak sun hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Wear protective clothing, long sleeves, wide-brimmed hats, and sunglasses when you're going to be outdoors for extended periods. And yes, consistently using a broad-spectrum sunscreen with an SPF of 30 or higher on all exposed skin is still vital. Even on cloudy days, it's about making these practices a natural part of your routine, like brushing your teeth. Taking care of your skin is truly an act of self-love, a commitment to your long-term health and vitality. It's about empowering yourself with knowledge, so you can live your life with confidence and peace of mind. Your skin is resilient, but it also sends us messages. And by listening intently, you're giving yourself the best chance at a long, healthy, and vibrant life. You have the power to be your own first line of defense. So, be diligent, be proactive, and always listen to what your body is trying to tell you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you, or someone you know, experienced any of these skin changes? Or has this video prompted you to look at your skin differently? Sharing your story or insights in the comments below might just help someone else on their own journey to better health. And if this conversation has been helpful, if it's given you valuable insights, please give this video a thumbs up. Your support means the world to us and helps us reach more people who can benefit from this kind of practical advice. And for more practical health insights, tips on living your best life at every age, and ways to empower yourself through knowledge, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Remember, your health is your greatest treasure, and taking small, consistent steps to protect it can make all the difference. Be proactive, be kind to yourself, and live your best life at every age.